What's up, Captain? What's up, man? Yeah, is this open today? Anyone could join up. Just talk some boxing. You know. Yo, what's up, bro?
What's up, Paul? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Thanks for the open mic.
Yeah, man. What's up? What's happening with you? How you doing, man?
I just see your T-shirt,
Yeah.
so you have some French flair today, so I have to come.
Yeah. How's everything going up there in Canada?
So I cannot lie. It's not easy, but
Yeah.
we struggle a little bit, but it will be okay. I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you?
Everything's all right, man. I'm just, hanging in and just trying to stay active on here on YouTube, man. Trying to stay active, man. That's
Yeah,
all. Trying to do this YouTube thing. I love it on here. It's like a love hate relationship with YouTube. These fans
I can see.
are
Yeah,
tough to deal with.
yeah, yeah.
But boxing is boxing, man. At the end of the
Mm.
day, you
I
know.
I'm completely the same. My love-hate relationship with YouTube, and
Yeah.
sometimes you have a Saturday night like this weekend, and
Hmm.
you jumping back on boxing big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yo. This guy left me a good. I don't know if you was just listening to the comment I was just reading about rematch clauses. All right.
Mhm.
And he's basically saying that the rematch clauses hold up everything in the divisions. These guys, it pretty much holds up whoever is holding the title for 6 months. And I read this comments today, and he basically said, Joshua lost before to Ruiz. There was a rematch clause in that, and then against Usyk again, another rematch clause, and it holds everything up. And I kind of agree with them because being that most boxers now are only fighting once or twice a year,
Mhm.
you on top of that you have your mandatories and stuff like that. It does kind of hold everything. It kind of freezes everything up, especially if you're a unified champion like Joshua.
Yes.
You're holding 3 titles, and now we have to wait until you're ready to rematch this fight. And this comment, the subscriber basically left a comment saying you should have to somewhat work your way back into another title shot. What do you think about that?
I think he is completely right. I'm pretty sure we are on a new era of heavyweight boxing because I know you are an historian because in the 80s or the 70s, when a champ lost, he took some fight just some warm up to come
Warm up
back,
fights, yeah. Mm-hmm.
just so, and everybody was agree with that. But today,
Yeah.
people are almost disagree with the idea to see Joshua take a small matchup just to come back, just to take some rounds, just working on a new way of boxing. People will not really understand the audience is changed. So I'm pretty sure, yes, everything is on holding. And also you have to see also with the Usyk side, because Usyk now is the champ. So I'm pretty sure he will want to have a deal as a champ, So maybe
Yeah.
in term of money, in term of maybe of the place. I'm not sure about that. Uh, so it could take a long time of negotiation.
Yeah.
And on the Joshua side, also it will be maybe more longer than for the Ruiz situation, because uh, Saturday we see Joshua with no response, with no answer at all in terms of strategy. So he has to. It's I think the work he has to put is bigger than the Ruiz fight.
Yeah, I think it's somewhat unfair for a guy like Usyk because I know people are looking at him as a guy that just moved up from cruiserweight. He didn't prove himself. And, to be honest, I don't know where that began. I think I want to go and say that it kind of somewhat got popular with Terrence Crawford moving up, where people are saying you got to prove yourself at the division first before you get your shot at the biggest guy. And I'm like, it was kind of a normal thing for a guy to win a title and get a title shot on his way up right away. Ruiz is different because Ruiz's situation was he was a replacement fighter.
Yeah.
Jared Miller tested positive for every drug that you could possibly get. He tested positive for that, and they send out some offers to like Luis Ortiz, and I think it was like a couple other fighters in there that wasn't able to get. I think Dillian White as well. I think Dillian White declined the rematch at that time, and then Ruiz was available, and he was a legit like replacement fighter. Like this fight would have never happened any other time. A lot of people weren't aware or didn't even know who Andy Ruiz was at that time. And in that sense, a rematch clause should definitely be in place because this guy is not even supposed to be getting this title shot. This is just a totally random thing. And that makes sense. Whereas Usyk has earned his way there, maybe not as a heavyweight, but as a undisputed champion in the lower division, moving up, and moved up, had a couple heavyweight fights. He was already the mandatory anyway, and as much as I'm a Joshua guy. I support Joshua. I ride with Joshua, but Usyk, this was not no totally random accident. Like that guy earned that win against a very good Anthony Joshua, and I think it's unfair that, I want Joshua to win his titles, but listen, you lost twice, within your last 4 fights, like maybe you should have some fights before getting another title shot, and it is holding up the division because look at Fury and Wilder. Look how much time they held up the division with that WBC title. Now, Dillian White and, whoever else is in line have to wait years because most of these guys don't fight no more than
decades,
1 or 2 fights a year. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, I think if fighters were more active, I'll be cool with the rematch clause, but these guys are not active like that. These guys are fighting once, maybe twice a year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's completely changed the landscape and the way of the schedule, the boxing schedule completely changed. We grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and it's like they are almost in retirement. This guy, Joshua. When you see people, Riddick Bowe going to his championship fight, how many fights he did? He has maybe 30 fights. Joshua, it was at what, 16? It's half the way of a Riddick Bowe or Lennox Lewis. And I don't speak about Larry Holmes or the OG. So and also you have to see that Joshua is also a business guy, but Usyk is the same, Fury is the same. So it's they speak about the boxing business game more than just the boxing game, and it's for a fan like me or maybe like you, it's I'm really tired about that.
Yeah, it's just stretching out everything. It's just making everything go so much longer. It makes the years feel like boxing years seem like they go by so fast because it's like not much is happening. We get a whole year. Just think about this year. You can't count 2020 because 2020 boxing for the most part it wasn't active. But we go into 2021 with a year where we had most fighters were allowed to fight. And you know, you got guys that caught COVID a week prior to the fight.
But you know, Paul, the only one who understood the situation and understood that he has to put many fights to be the face of boxing was Canelo. Canelo fight a lot if you compare with the rest of the boxing stars.
Yes. And this is why I respect Canelo. You know, some people might. It's weird because Canelo fanboys don't like me, but Canelo haters don't like me neither. You know, and that's because I am not. You know, it's weird, but it's, you know, but these are the comments that I get. The real hardcore extreme fanboys don't think Canelo should receive any kind of criticism. And then you have the people that hate Canelo. Shout out the Charger to the game. Yo, if you can jump on, if you Charger to the game, jump on if you can, bro. That's my guy. I met him back. I think we met on the Joshua Ruiz fight. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know. But yo, going back to what I was saying. Damn, what was the point? What we were just talking about? We were talking about
Canelo.
Okay, so Canelo. The thing about Canelo, and you just brought up an amazing point. Canelo has been extremely active, man. When guys are not fighting, you know, 2-3 times a year. You know, Canelo's his fight. He might not fight everybody like the Yildirim fight, you know, when he had to get that out of the way. But you know what? At least he was staying active, you know, like I just need we need the fights going. Like I like when Triple G and Kovalev was having their run, you remember that? They were fighting 4 times, traveling around the world.
5 times a year for Triple G. 5 times a year. Everywhere in Monaco, the US. It was crazy. Yeah. UK.
Those two were having a good run.
Yeah.
When they were in the prime, you know.
2014, 2015.
Yeah, they had the two of them had a good run. HBO was broadcasting them on a regular, and now you got these guys that's fighting once a year, and it's like if you're holding a title, you got a mandatory obligation. And the thing with mandatory, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not so good. You know, Triple G's last mandatory was not so good. You know, and it's just like when you fight once a year and you fight a mandatory that's not like the guy that everybody wants to see you face, it's like, damn, well, what's the point? It's like we wasted a whole year, you know?
It's also the Canelo side who was very clever to break the rhythm of Triple G, because in my opinion, Triple G is really dangerous when he has rhythm. You know, he fight 4 times or 5 times a year. You know, and they break the rhythm and they force him to not fight, to have the Canelo fight, and that, in my opinion, that broke something in the Triple G machine, if I can say.
Yeah, it's just the way boxing is set up, and this is why these older fighters and these celebrities are taking advantage of it. You know, they're taking advantage of the time. There's empty spaces. There's empty slots in boxing right now.
Exactly.
You know, we got
because the boxing world can put some fight, but they struggle to put some event. What are the events in the boxing world right now? When Canelo go to a big stadium, or when Joshua come back to a big stadium, that's it. This is the big event. You know, for the rest, it's just us. You know, it's just us talking about the next Crawford fight. or the next Loma fight. But in
Mhm.
terms of big events that even my sister can talk about, that is just Canelo and AJ. That's it. That's all.
Yeah.
And for the rest, boxing doesn't exist except when you have some celebrities who want to fight. That's sad.
Yeah, I think you got these guys that's taking advantage of the fact that we getting consecutive weekends of no boxing. Or we might get some boxing, but it's not the boxing that we're looking for.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why they putting Holyfield in there. This is why they putting Jake Paul in there. These guys are taking over. D-Style, what up, bro? If you can jump on, if you have some time, let me know. Jump on. But yeah, that's the problem. It's too much availability for all these other guys, and I said this in a previous video. D-Style, thank you for the donation. I said in a previous video, if we were getting consecutive good boxers, like good fights, and we have enough, the roster is set. We have more than enough fights that can be made every single weekend. If these guys was giving us consistent back-to-back good weekends of fights, we wouldn't be worried about who Holyfield is fighting. No disrespect to Holyfield because he's a legend, but it would be like how Chavez Sr., how Chavez Sr. has been fighting for years still in exhibitions. He's been doing it. He's been for himself because he just loved the game. But when he fights, it's not a broadcast. It's like, you know what? If you want to tune in, you could. But not everybody's talking about it. And I feel like all these legends that are coming back, they're coming back and everyone's talking about it because there's nothing else going on.
And because also the name sells,
Yeah.
the name Holyfield is still bigger than some of the big name of the boxing world today. Today, for the masses, for the casual, it's easier to sell the name Holyfield, than Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez is just for us, the boxing hardcore fans. You see?
Yeah. But even with Teofimo Lopez, I know he doesn't have the name that Holyfield has. But if Teofimo Lopez is fighting on the same night as Holyfield, I think, the hardcore boxing fans are going to want to tune in just because, we're seeing a prime Teo fight. And Holyfield, I think people are kind of tuning in because there's nothing else on. You'll be surprised. I know Holyfield has the name, but there's a lot of newer boxing fans that they know of Holyfield because of who he was, but they don't really connect with him in a way where, like, we seen him in his prime. So we're not as interested in seeing him fight an MMA fighter at 58 years old. You know what I'm saying? We're just not that interested. I saw some of it. I streamed it. I didn't pay for it. And I kind of just watched it because it was the only thing that was on at the time. I was like, I could have completely missed out on a fight and just found out what happened on it later. I'm speaking for myself, but I just know that fight was being talked about and discussed so much because there was nothing on that night. Nothing major, at least. Teofimo Lopez, we know him as that guy. I mean, Teo is a different example because Teo's, I think we all know him as a guy that recently beat Lomachenko, but I think he lost a lot of steam because of the whole Triller situation. And, I think it was, 5 reschedules at this point? 5?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's a never-ending story. It's I never see that.
Coming off your biggest win too, you're beating a pound for pound fighter, and
he didn't break for
yeah, it's crazy.
And Loma, because we know Loma will fight in December, so Loma will find the time to fight twice after his defeat and Teofimo will just won, and it was difficult to finally get the fight.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. What do you think about this Wilder and Fury fight? What do you think? Do you think there's going to be any difference in this third fight as opposed to the second and the first? I mean, the first two fights were very different, obviously in the outcome, but just not just the outcome, but just the way, I want to say both the strategy in both. I think the first fight, my analysis of the first fight was Fury was boxing well like he normally do, but he just quite wasn't in his prime in that night, and Wilder was just trying to force the right hand on Fury, and it became very predictable. I think the second fight, Wilder was a little better as far as maybe tactics and just setting up the right hand and doing a little bit more. Like I remember him throwing some lefts to the body and stuff. But Fury was more aggressive. He was bigger.
Was aggressive.
He wasn't so slick. He was kind of just walking down, being a bully and stuff like that. And he overwhelmed Wilder. Some people will say Wilder had his water spiked. Fury's gloves had egg wicks or whatever. But, you got that. And then in this third fight, I really don't know what to expect from Fury, but I know Wilder is training in a different level. What do you think that really matters at this point?
Yes. First of all, I'm really excited about the fight night because, like you say at the beginning of your show and on your title, the card, all the schedule, all the fights of the night are crazy good. You have a good matchup, and I'm almost more excited by the matchup like Sanchez Ajagba than the main event. But for the main event, I'm agree with you. We will see a different fight. It will be it will not look like the first or the second one. It will be different. Because Wilder, at least will try to bring something else. It for sure.
I agree 100%.
For sure, he has no choice. And he will bring something else. But the question is, can he demonstrate another way of boxing for 12 rounds? I'm not sure about that. And I don't know. It's just an intuition, It's just how I visualize the fight. But I think the first 5 rounds will be very interesting when we will see a different Wilder. But Fury is really great to adjust. He can adjust to something different. So I give Fury maybe 5 rounds to adjust. And after the 5th round, maybe we will see a completely different fight. But for the beginning, I'm pretty sure Wilder will be disciplined, will be full of rage. So it could be very excited. But for the rest of the fight, in my opinion, it's really open to how Fury adjust, and if he has the will to going for the knockout or not.
Yeah, great analysis, by the way.
Thank you.
I told people the other day, I don't think I'm gonna do a prediction for this fight. All right. It's very rare when I just say like I'm not predicting. I will break it down. I'm not gonna pick a winner going into this fight because I feel like when a fighter is backed against a wall, it's really hard to predict what's gonna happen. I feel like Wilder is backed against a wall. Like he
Yes.
must win this fight, and he's preparing differently because a lot of things that people have always said about Wilder, about his flaws. We know that he's an amazing athlete, okay, and we know that he has a huge right hand.
Yes.
He's never been forced to have to change anything, though. I listened to a lot of Malik Scott videos, and as much as I respect his boxing knowledge, his experience, people like to talk about, oh, well, I know Fury said things like, we sparred. If you couldn't do nothing to me, how can you teach Wilder to do something to me? I don't necessarily believe in any of that, because I don't necessarily believe that a trainer has to be an elite fighter to be a good trainer, a great trainer. Malik Scott could be a great trainer. I have no idea. I just know that before, even though he was a part of the camp, he's never been the lead trainer in Wilder's camp. And then Wilder's never lost before, so he's never been really forced to change things. Malik Scott's saying, I've seen Wilder do things outside of the ring that he hasn't done inside the ring. Like, he can do more. I don't know if he's being biased, or I don't know if he's being honest. I don't know what to believe. There's too many unknowns here. But all I know is that Wilder is backed into a wall, and Wilder is being forced to adjust and to work on other things outside of the right hand. So being that we know that now, I believe, win or lose, this will be the best Wilder out of the trilogy. Win or lose.
Agree.
I think even if Wilder loses, even if he ends to get knocked out, I think this will be the best Wilder we'll see up to this point.
Yeah.
And this is why it makes it so difficult for me to pick this fight, because even if Fury is winning, it won't be as easy as it was in the second fight. Fury displayed great defense in the first fight. Offensively, he was just okay. Offensively, he was amazing in the second fight. Defensively, he didn't have to be that defensive because the game plan was pressure. This fight here, pressure, just raw pressure, might not work. So Fury might have to go back into a little bit of the old Fury and may have to rely on his boxing ability. I don't know what to expect. I don't really know.
But I think, the devil is in the detail, this expression, because yes, Wilder has to change, and he will show something else. I'm pretty sure about that. But can he change a lot? I'm not sure about that. He's starting late. He is almost 37, 36. I'm not sure about that. So maybe he can progress, but also we have to be reasonable. He can progress, but it cannot be a big progress, So
yeah, I agree.
Some questions are still on the table. Can he box backward? You say that? Can he box in back on his back foot?
Back foot, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Foot. Sorry about my English. Can he box like this? Because it would be huge if he show that. Wilder wasn't good about that. Can he change something with his movement, his legs? And I'm pretty sure they work a lot about that. One thing I'm sure, it's all the 24/7 we see on YouTube and on TV. It's sometimes it's good to watch a 24/7 because you can catch, just a detail. You can catch here and there a detail and say, okay, I can see what will be the strategy. But for this one, I'm pretty sure they show nothing about the fight.
I know.
It's all is fake. For the Wilder side, on the Fury side, you will see nothing like like a detail you can take for granted. No, not at all.
Well, if you look at the PBC boxing channel,
Mm.
the YouTube channel, they've been showing episodes. I think I saw
Yeah.
episode 2 this morning.
Yes, me too.
It's a 5-minute video.
Yeah.
Not only that, but the videos that we've seen of Wilder hitting the mitts and training with Malik Scott, these are short clips. They're only posting what they want us to see.
And it's always the same combo.
You know,
Look,
now
with the video 1 month ago, 2 months ago, it's always the same. They show just one combo. Yeah.
Only another thing too, another point. What happens when Wilder gets hit with a big right hand like he did in the rematch? Does he revert right back to the way he's used to fighting, or does he stick to the game plan?
Yeah.
You know, remember, there were fights where Wilder was maybe not losing, because I don't remember how the judges had it scored, but I remember there were certain fights where Wilder was kind of getting outboxed. The Spilka fight here in New York, the Gerald Washington fight, the Luis Ortiz rematch, where I
even
thought
the
Ortiz
first fight, even the first
Ortiz
fight
was winning every single round. It was like a clear, like, okay, what is Wilder waiting for? What's going on? I know Ortiz is not hurting him. I know Wilder looks relaxed, but what's going on? And it seems like the first punch he landed against Ortiz went down, and that was that. This is not going to be that fight. Tyson Fury's already had experience. I'm sure he has the mental advantage going into this fight, but we can't even say that because this will be Fury's first title defense ever.
Yes.
So the last time he won, he left the sport because of mental health issues. I mean, I'm sure it had involved other things too, but we really just don't know. There's so many unknowns with this fight. I think after the fight, I think this fight is going to answer a lot of questions about both fighters. And then we could come to some sort of conclusion on how we feel about these guys. Because now, Usyk just beat Joshua the other day. It was an amazing performance. And we're sitting here talking about, well, everybody's talking about how overrated Joshua is, and I'm like, we're not talking about enough about how great Usyk is. And now we have to have a new discussion. It's okay, well, if Usyk is to fight Wilder or Fury, who wins those fights?
I have my theory about this, if I can share with you. Because Saturday, Usyk was amazing. Like it or not, the guy was on another stratosphere. Why? Because Joshua, it wasn't his best night, but he was disciplined. He was disciplined all the time. So we can be agreed that Joshua did a lot of mistake. He was very disciplined. So that means that Usyk was, in terms of strategy and technique, he was great. Now, look at Fury Wilder 2 and put on mute. Look the fight with no sound. Sorry to say, but it's ugly to watch. It's not the beautiful boxing that you can see on different fights. So in terms of technique and strategy, I think we put Fury.
Usyk is way above Fury from what I saw. I've never seen Fury look that good. I never see Fury. And listen, I'm going to say it because I haven't said it, because I've been making videos talking about, Usyk against Joshua. And listen, Joshua that night looked great to me. It's just, I mean, I'm saying, when I say he looked great, I mean, as far as, like, I'm comparing Joshua's performance is and just the way he was moving. He was prepared. But Usyk was so much better. He made Joshua look bad.
Yeah.
But Joshua was doing, it wasn't a Ruiz fight. Joshua was at his best that night. And Usyk was so much better. I was watching some of the fight yesterday again. And I said to, I made a video and I said, if you can look at Usyk and just watch him, just don't even focus on Joshua. Just look at Usyk and look at how many things he's doing at one time. Within each second, Usyk is doing a million things with his body.
Yeah.
And Joshua he's just like, yo, I can't even, like, this guy is doing so much. I can't even, like, time him. Because whenever I'm setting up to throw this right hand, because he's a southpaw and I'm a right hand. Remember when Charles Martin was right there to get hit? The target was right there. Charles Martin would step to the side and Joshua would just pivot and follow him with that right hand and catch him 2 times in a row, which made the fight get stopped.
Yeah.
Usyk was never there. In fact, not only did Usyk, because we were looking at the Tony Bellew fight, we was looking at the Breeders fight, we looking at all these fights, and you know what? Usyk fought at the level of his opponents every single time. When he stepped up to Joshua, he took it to a whole nother level. You think I move well? You think I got great angles now? Wait till you see me against a guy that everyone thinks I'm going to lose to. And he took it to a whole new level. His head was like all over the place. His lead hand was all over the place. His feet were all over the place.
Yes.
It was just too much. I said yesterday, I'm watching the fight on DAZN and it felt like it was being sped up. But the time was still ticking, like 1 second, 2 second, 3 second. But Usyk was moving around so fast. I'm like, God damn, that's too much. That's too much. And I know Joshua wants to rematch. It's in the clause. So if you have an opportunity to go and fight again, yeah. But this guy's levels above Joshua. He's levels above Joshua. It's not even close.
And what is crazy, because I'm agree with all you say, Paul. But what is agree that Usyk show that he has this, because he took some big right from Joshua. Not a lot, but he took some,
Yeah,
and
he did.
He took some and he didn't freeze. He didn't at all. And he showed also that as an heavyweight, Usyk has a decent power, a respectable power, because Joshua was respected his power a lot, and the guy who has the spaghetti, the chicken dance, it was Joshua, not Usyk, after the big
He did
left.
a few times.
So that's mean the he really transformed himself as a heavyweight. He has a decent power, a respectable power as a heavyweight. He has the chin a good chin for a heavyweight. So if you give me a matchup Fury Usyk, I'm sorry guys, but 100% with Usyk. With what I saw Saturday, 100% with Usyk.
Yeah. Another thing is too, Otto Wallin. Otto Wallin Southpaw gave Fury a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. He was doing a lot of things.
And Otto Wallin,
that
it's
Usyk does
way below
scale.
Yeah.
A much lower scale. He's like a watered down Usyk. Okay. As far as activity and pressure, Wallin was doing the right thing. But he doesn't move like Usyk. Usyk is off the line. Everything is going on, I mean, Usyk would be a hard fight for Fury. Offensively, he would be hard for Wilder too. See, Wilder's tricky because Wilder, it's hard to predict Wilder fights
But you
because
know what? You know what? I'm
if
agree
it's a
with you
12,
too. If the one who has maybe a bigger chance is Wilder, because a crazy Wilder can do something that Usyk is not ready for, you know.
yeah, yeah.
But it's maybe a question of 2-3 rounds. You know, you have maybe a window of 2-3 rounds, and after that, it's over for Wilder. But
Wilder's always going to be the wild card.
Yes,
he's always going to be the wild card. When I say that, is this what you love him or hate Wilder? Love or hate Wilder? Wilder is not there because of his technique. He's never been there. Like the first person I felt like really exposed that with Wilder was Arthur Spilka. Because Arthur Spilka to me was outboxing Wilder.
Exactly.
He was making him look sloppy. And while I'm watching that fight, I'm like, okay, all the issues that I felt Wilder had before this fight, Arthur Spilka was exposing those issues. But then out of nowhere, what happened? Wilder caught him, and this guy went to sleep, and he had to be stretched out. And you just never know with this dude. He could be outboxed, and then out of nowhere, he lands a right hand, and then what happened?
Boom.
Charles Edward Cheese, thank you for the super donation. Thank you.
Charles, if you can subscribe to my channel, it would be great.
Yo, subscribe to my man Captain Hook. But yo, he is the wild card, man. Like he it's very hard to predict him. And I've talked about these 3 years. I've been switching up over the years. You know, back then in the very beginning, I said Wilder, Joshua, boom. Joshua, I feel like can outbox him, can win rounds. But then Wilder, I feel like Wilder, if he landed one punch, he would get him out, elite. Oh, man.
Wow.
Yo, thank you. Thank you for the donations, man. Thank you for the donations. Jesus Christ. These two are my biggest support. Thank you very much, man. Thank you. You can't predict it. You just can't with Wilder. But with Fury's the guy before Usyk came up into the picture, right? Fury is always the guy that the world felt was the most skilled.
But
as as he is,
it was always something that.
Yeah, you go. Okay. Yeah, you got it.
Sorry.
You go.
And this point, it's always something that I was, not agree with, almost frustrated about the narrative that Fury is so skilled. It's so skilled. Yes, against Klitschko, he put some a good boxing night. He boxed.
Yeah.
He boxed. Okay. And he can do that with his weird body. Okay. But Fury also play the card of the technical fighter, but at the end, most of the time, he will bring and he will let speak the dirty and his body. Look at the fight against Hammer long time ago. Look at the fight against Cunningham. Oh, he finished Cunningham. It was dirty. It wasn't clean. It wasn't clean at all. And look at
even the Wilder rematch. It wasn't really clean, man.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't beautiful to watch.
He was catching right hands, but he was turning them good, so he didn't get the full impact of them.
So
but in the first fight,
for me, it's fake. For me, it's it's just a face, if I can say. You understand my idea, but Usyk for real is the technical fighter for real, But I still question the narrative about Fury. That he's so technical, it's crazy, Come on, Give me a break. Sorry, but
I think I think Fury. I don't even say. Well, what I say is when I break down Fury, I think his technique is good, but it has a lot to do with the size. His size makes it where, like, how can a guy that's 6'9", that heavy, move that way? And that's what it is. I think it's more of his size. If Fury just took his skill set alone, if you're just taking his skills alone and you put him in a smaller division, if you put him at 175, I don't particularly think that he's better than Better Biev or Bivol.
Thank you.
Usyk is a guy that I just feel is elite, to a point where he can fight in any division and give anyone hell. He can give anyone hell. There's only a few fighters that I think that's like that. Lomachenko is one of those guys. I know he lost to Tio, but I still feel that Lomachenko, if we're talking about the skills, I think Lomachenko is someone that could give anyone hell. Terrence Crawford, he'll give anyone hell. It's not too many people. Even Canelo. I think Canelo, even with the tough fights he had, I still think, like, damn, this guy developed and got so much better because of the people he was facing. Lara made him so much better. That Lara fight, whether you thought he won or lost that shit, man, that Lara fight made him so much better.
So you have to question the real question is to question the reality of the heavyweight division. What is the real level of the heavyweight division? It's maybe below so different division like the middleweight, the lightweight.
I think with Usyk, I think I haven't heard anyone bring up the fact that what's this fight? Otto Wallin, and his fight with Fury, when people are still like, compare, if you really, really compare him and what he did with Fury, he cut Fury with a punch, and gave Fury some trouble early. Fury came back and won clearly, for sure. But we can't totally dismiss, Usyk as in being, people are looking at it what AJ didn't do or how AJ is not good enough, yada, yada, yada. And people are not giving Usyk the credit for being that guy to move up and do what he did. You got to remember, AJ beat a whole lot of guys at the heavyweight division. And there's no doubt in my mind that Usyk would beat every single one of those guys that AJ beat. No doubt. I mean, I remember even when Klitschko was saying that their sparring session was rough. His sparring session with Usyk was rough.
You're right. Yes, you're right. He was the sparring partner of Klitschko for, I don't remember which fight, but you're right.
Yeah. People want to sit here and talk
and
about.
And he was a cruiserweight at that time. He was a cruiserweight at that time.
Yes. And people want to act like the Povetkin fight doesn't mean anything. Well, Povetkin knocked out Dillian White 2 years later after Joshua beat him. Yeah. That says a lot, and Dillian White, you feel what you want about him. He's up there. He's up there. He's right below the champions. He's the first guy right below those dudes. He wouldn't beat everybody, but as far as the guys that are not champions, he's been consistent. Joseph Parker wasn't champion. Joseph Parker
he can bring the fight to anybody.
Yes. Joseph Parker beat Andy Ruiz, and Dillian White beat him. And guess what? Povetkin went in there and knocked him out 2 years after AJ did it. Like, people are forgetting for Usyk to go in there and school AJ the way he did. School him completely. It wasn't like the Ruiz fight. No, he completely schooled them. People are not giving that man enough credit.
Paul, what do you believe? If you are inside the head of Anthony Joshua today, is it more difficult to face the reality after the Ruiz fight or after the Usyk fight? Because
After
the
the Usyk fight,
Mhm,
absolutely,
mhm.
absolutely. I think AJ was more embarrassed than anything. You come to New York,
Yeah,
you know, you want to put on a show. That's exactly why he screwed up. You got to remember, Deontay Wilder had just had this crazy highlight knockout of Dominic Brazil a
yeah,
couple weeks before that.
yeah,
That thing was a whole meme. People were creating
yeah,
memes of
yeah,
Dominic
yeah. You're
Brazil
right.
getting
You're
knocked
right.
out. So Joshua comes to New York, never been here fighting, and he goes in there and he hurts Ruiz, drops him, and he tries to finish him off in the most reckless way possible. You try to exchange hooks with a hooker, and you got knocked out. Well, not knocked out, but you got caught, and you got eventually got stopped. And that was a problem. You know, you try to show off from New York. No, fight your fight. Win the fight. Don't worry about what people in New York is going to think about you. Fight your fight. And he didn't. And he paid for it. And he was embarrassed. You know, I saw this interview when he was walking. He said because he was here in New York for like a week after that loss.
Yeah,
And I saw an interview of him saying something like, you know, I was walking around in New York, you know, and this guy came up to me and was like, yo, ain't you the guy that just lost to that little chubby guy? And he felt embarrassed. I think it was more embarrassing than anything else.
Mm.
But it wasn't like AJ felt like he couldn't beat that guy. No, AJ knew he could have been, but he was overconfident. Whereas Usyk, AJ got to be sitting home like, damn, how the hell am I going to beat this guy? I'm sure he's listening to the people and the reactions, and I'm sure he's sitting there like, do I have to fire Rob McCracken? Do I need more trainers? What can I do? Should I change my strategy? I'm sure he's sitting around thinking about what the hell am I going to do to beat this dude?
You're right. The question mark is big for Anthony Joshua, and it's it will be a tough time for him if in terms of management, because maybe he will have to change somebody in his team. You know, it's never easy, and also the question mark. Also, we have to emphasize on the question mark because since the Ruiz debacle, we have just one fight we see Joshua pretty good. It's against Pulev. Because the rematch with Ruiz, don't forget, sometimes we speak and we go too fast on what we say. So he changed the strategy. He boxed the guy. He was on his back foot. He was more more safety first.
Mm-hmm.
But don't you have to remember that Ruiz didn't come to the fight seriously.
Yeah.
You know,
It was his styles.
It was
It's
disgusting that he didn't try. He
didn't prepare.
Don't forget that Ruiz was a mess for the rematch. Ruiz was a mess.
He was overweight.
In the way Ruiz helped so much Joshua, you know. So the question mark is there since a long time with Joshua. And when your next matchup is not Fury, is not Wilder, and you say, okay, it's Usyk, it's a cruiserweight, okay, I'm the favorite. Boom. We see what's happened last Saturday.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, do you watch any other sports? Like, do you watch any sports that involves a playoff?
Yes.
There's certain rounds you have to go. Now, if you lose in the first round, like for example, the NBA, if you lose in the first round of the playoffs and that team end up winning the championship, the first round loss seems so bad until you realize you lost to the
To the
champs.
champion. Yeah.
What if Usyk goes on to beat the winner of Wilder and Fury? Does the loss seem so bad? It seems horrible right now.
Yeah.
But what if Usyk actually proves that he's the best heavyweight in the world? See, everybody's talking about how AJ, isn't good enough. He got exposed. He's robotic. Yada, he's too stiff. That's that, and third. But what if this
it's
guy
not fair.
goes on
It's
and
not fair
beats
because
the
he wasn't.
very
He faced a genius, so it's not fair to say that. Yes, you're right. You're right.
yeah, like we don't know. Like I'm not talking about Usyk. I know how good Usyk is.
Mhm.
I'm fully aware of it. I mean, I knew it before the fight, but I still thought AJ was going to do enough to win. But even after the fight, he's only proven to me even more so that how good he is. But if he is to go on to beat the winner of Wilder and Fury 3 and become undisputed, well, then it's like, well, you know what? AJ lost to the best guy in the world. It's not so bad, but we won't know that. Right now, we're thinking about what AJ, what he didn't do, what he could have done, what he needs to work on, who he needs to bring into camp. We're focused so much on that, and we're not even focused on, well, possibly he might have possibly just lost to the baddest man on the planet. Possibly. Shout out to EC real quick. Thank you for the donation. AJ did hurt Usyk at times. What if his strategy is the same but more aggressive at these times? Not like Ruiz. He might lose on points, but going for a knockout at those times might be his way to win. I mean, yes, I hear you. I definitely hear you. But we don't know. We don't know if that strategy might work. You got to remember, AJ finished this fight almost getting stopped.
Yeah.
We can't forget that. Yes, he hurt. He hurt Usyk a few times. Or I mean, he landed some good shots against Usyk. But I only see one man hurt. Like really hurt. And that was AJ. That wasn't Usyk. Usyk backed up a few times like, okay, you rocked me with a good shot.
The chin was there. The chin was there.
But AJ was the guy that I saw hurt more than a few times and almost getting stopped. So when people bring up things like, well, AJ should have followed up with this or he should have followed up with that. And I'm saying, yeah, but there's only one person that I've seen react in a way where this guy is hurt, and that was AJ, not Usyk. Usyk was never in real danger.
And he was comfortable with this freedom. Usyk was, like a automatic pilot at some point. And the 12th round was crazy because he rushed, he made a statement on the final round. Usyk made a statement. For me, I was so impressed. I couldn't believe what I saw, that Usyk bring all the activities, all the energy at the end of the fight on the final round for him, because it's almost he defied the nature of this body. It's a guy who come from a lower class, weight class, so he has to change his body and to have all the gas in the tank at the end of the fight. I was so impressed.
And people are overlooking that, by the way. People are overlooking that. That's the most important factor out of all of this. This guy fought the 12th round like it was the first round.
Exactly. To really to put the statement that I won this fight, for the last impression. He won the last impression.
Yeah. Like whoever thinks he fought that 12th round as if he was losing the fight. Usyk fought the 12th round as if he was losing the fight. He fought the 12th round as if he thought in his mind he was down on the cards.
Exactly.
He didn't fight. I thought at that point he did more than enough to win.
He didn't trust the judge.
No.
Yeah.
And guess what? With that being said, he almost ended up stopping AJ. He almost stopped him. He almost stopped him.
That's crazy to
If
think.
it was a 13th round, it might have been that might have been it. You know? Might have been it. Thank you, EC. Thank you again. I agree with all that, but he definitely can't win on points from what I saw. That's all there is to look forward to since the fight will happen. Well, I agree. I agree with you there. I think if AJ is gonna rematch him, right? I think if AJ rematches him, he needs to focus on the knockout. You're not gonna outbox this dude, and
But
you're not gonna outwork him neither. You're not gonna. It doesn't matter how slim you get, how your AJ's conditioning was still pretty good.
yeah,
And for the most part, his durability, he was very durable. I mean, listen, if he wasn't, he would have got slept. But at the end of the day, this guy was still a couple of levels above him. You know, AJ had a hard time following him and keeping up with him. And just, you notice that people don't, another thing that people are not mentioning, AJ not throwing punches and just trying to follow him burned him out.
Yeah, he was tight.
Yeah.
He was so tight.
Yeah, he was tight. Just for a guy, everybody's talking about conditioning and stamina and being able to fight without getting tired. AJ looked tired just by trying to keep up with him. It just seemed like it was exhausting just to try to follow this guy. Just look at his feet and him trying to keep up. I know AJ was light on his feet as far as like, he was prepared to fight for 12 rounds for sure. But just him just trying to follow Usyk, who wasn't there in front of him at no point. He wasn't there. See, Fury is great. Like, he's slick. He could roll punches well. He could turn punches well. But Usyk was a different. I never seen Fury, going back to what we were saying earlier about Fury and comparing technique. I never seen Fury move like that.
No.
I never seen him move like that. I even when he was showboating against Tom Schwartz, right? And he was doing he was doing a rope-a-dope, and he was, shuffling around, and he was, slipping shots. I've never seen Fury move like that guy. That guy was a machine, and it didn't even look real. It looked like a damn video game. Yeah. I just, and Joshua looked tired just trying to follow him. And, someone said earlier, what if Wilder landed the right hand? Well, what if he doesn't? That's the thing. When people say, yeah, we know Wilder got incredible power. Somebody said this earlier. What if Wilder landed the right hand? Well, what if he didn't? Or what if he landed a few but didn't knock him out? What about, how would Wilder take Usyk's shots? How many, what if, like, part of the reason why Wilder lost that second round is because he was forced to fight backwards. If Usyk forced him to fight backwards,
exactly
like Fury did, but his offense is much greater, because Fury's offense was never really that explosive.
No.
It was never, neither one of those fights. It was never really that explosive. That's the conflict of the first fight. The conflict of the first fight is Fury showed amazing defense and he made Wilder miss all night. But what was he, hitting him with? It wasn't much. The second fight, yes, he was sitting down on the punches. The right hands and the body shots hurt more. But he wasn't like Usyk. He wasn't like high volume.
You know what? Usyk, only with his jab, Usyk show that he's on another level of skills if you compare with Fury. Only with the jab. He can have the inside jab, he can have the overhand jab, he can have on the side. Fury cannot do that. He can switch sometime as a southpaw, but except one fight at the beginning of his career, when he switched southpaw, it's 30 seconds. That's it. That's all. Fury is no Crawford, in terms of switch. So Fury will learn a lot if he faces Usyk. Believe me.
Yeah, I think they all. It's gonna be a hard fight for anybody, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a hard fight. I don't know who's gonna win this rematch. And I believe the winner of this rematch is gonna go straight into mandatory defense against Dillian White or Otto Wallin winner. Okay. But in the meantime, Joshua is gonna have to face this guy again, and I do believe that at this time, Joshua needs to knock out. You don't want to go 12 rounds with this guy. You don't want to go 12 rounds.
What is really impressive also with what we saw last Saturday, it's Usyk completely changed the landscape, because few weeks ago we were talking together on my channel, and we were talking about the AJ Fury fight, but since Saturday it disappeared
just like that, and that's how boxing is.
Usyk disappear the biggest matchup in the boxing world. That's crazy to think.
Yeah, but what if, what's crazier?
Yeah.
What if Wilder wins?
Yes.
I'm just saying, it won't be the craziest thing I've ever seen. We saw what happened in the first fight. Yeah, I mean, I believe Fury did enough to win on points, but look at that 12th round. What if Fury didn't get up? Or what if the ref just waved it off? This would have changed everything, but let's just say Fury goes in there, he's slept on Wilder. Let's just say that he's not his best, or let's just say Wilder's just better and he catches him. It changes everything. Everything that's happened this point, that led up to this point, where just a few months back, Joshua was going to fight Tyson Fury in an undisputed matchup. Usyk agreed to step aside, not knowing that if AJ fought Fury for undisputed, we don't even realize that there's a ticking time bomb right on the side waiting for his opportunity to get his shot. And we wouldn't have even known that Usyk would have destroyed AJ if he had fought him before getting to Fury.
Yeah.
This is why part of the reason why, and I don't fully blame it on the boxers. I blame it more on the promoters, because a lot of the promoters and these matchmakers, they have a team of matchmakers. They know what's up. They know they are experts in predicting these fights and knowing the outcomes and studying the outcomes of these fighters. And this is why they carefully select who people fight. They know how certain fighters, they might, as far as status, they might not have the greater resume, but they know the styles counts, and they know, like, what, this guy is a stylistic matchup, like a nightmare for my fighter. This guy is a nightmare, and a lot of people predicted it. I didn't, but a lot of people was very positive and confident that Usyk would school Anthony Joshua. And they were right. Yeah. You got to say it. They were right.
Yeah. But yeah.
This is boxing, man. It's not a team sport. It's not the best of 7. It's one fight, and that's it. It's one fight, and that's it. You might have a rematch here and there, but, man, I want, and you know what, as a boxing fan, at the end of the day, I want undisputed. I don't care who it is. I want undisputed. I'm disappointed, but at the same time, Usyk proved to me that AJ is not the best heavyweight. He's just not. Usyk proved it, though. Fury didn't prove it. Wilder didn't prove it. Usyk did.
Yeah. Yeah, and he stole something from Fury, because Fury was he created the persona that he will school everybody. It was just speculation, but with his big mouth, we all more or less agree with the fact that Fury could school everybody. That's not the case anymore. The real teacher now in the division, it's Usyk, and the persona of Fury changed also a lot after this weekend, in my opinion.
Who do you think has the best chance of beating Usyk?
Again, I think you have to fight. It makes no sense to try to box Usyk, in my opinion. You will always be trapped by the Usyk style, and AJ was trapped, in the Usyk style. In my opinion, I give more. It's just speculation, but I give more chance to a wild dog, like Wilder or like Dillian White. Look at the fight with Chisora.
I just want to see if we were going to see it.
Look at the fight Usyk and Chisora. Chisora was he boxed like Chisora. Big hit from everywhere. And Usyk was less comfortable than last Saturday. So if you try to be clean, to box, to be disciplined too much, you let the runs go, and
you gotta be different.
No, and you have to. It's like the casino at Las Vegas. You have to believe in your chance, on your punching chance, on the X factor. And it's weird to say. Because it's maybe the less technical fighter of the division, but in my opinion, Wilder has more chance than all the other fighters who are more disciplined, more skills, more fundamentally sound. That's weird, but I see like that.
I feel the same as you. I think I say two people. I'm not saying they would win, but I think they would have a better chance because of their style. I say Wilder because, like I said earlier, he's the wild card. It takes one punch with him. I think Usyk would outbox him clearly, but I also think that Wilder can land something that can hurt him. It doesn't always work. It didn't work against Fury, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's still one of those things that it can happen, right? Yeah. And then I would say Dillian White. Why? Because Dillian White is going to do what Chisora did, but better to me. Dillian White's a better boxer, and I think he's going to be aggressive. Okay, he's not going to let Usyk play around and do what he wants. He's going to force Usyk to have to evade him in some sense, like Chisora was doing. Chisora did better than AJ to me. I've said this several times on the channel. I don't know if you agree, but I think Chisora did better because Chisora went in there and I'm not going to box with you. I'm not going to play these games. I'm going to turn this into a street fight. If I'm going to be spinning around in order to keep and track you, I'm going to do whatever I have to do. You're going to catch me, but you know what? Usyk wasn't able to really sit down and crack like he was with AJ. AJ was a lot more patience there.
And Usyk was pushed on the rope against Chisora and not against Anthony. You have to push Usyk on the rope. Don't give him space because the guy.
Don't give him no time. Turn into a street fight. Into a street fight. Yeah. See,
Marvin Hagler style, Marvin Hagler mentality. Maybe I will be a knockout, but maybe I will knock out the guy. Hagler Ernst. That's the way. That's the way. You go this way. You sacrifice yourself. You give it to yourself 5 rounds max, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I think when a guy boxes that well, you have to do something to throw them off, and I think that's what I think Wilder. Yeah, I don't think Wilder always fought the best fighters, but I think with Wilder, the reason why he got as far as he did is because of the fact that he was very unorthodox. I think his athleticism played a huge part outside of his power. And I think that because he didn't have the technique like all these other guys, I think that's got him that far. Like even like when I look at a fighter like Rolly Romero, right? Like I'm not saying I don't even think he's gonna make it as far as Wilder as far as success. But when I look at Rolly Romero, he fights like a street fighter. Like he doesn't have the technique at all. Like, I'm watching him like, God, he does this wrong. He does that. Look at his feet. Look at the way he's standing. Look at the way he's throwing these punches. Yet he's been beating boxers, and not the very elite yet, but I don't think his style, I think the fact that he doesn't fight in a traditional way is what is very beneficial towards him. All right, wait, real quick. What do you think? What fight do you think Fury's best performance was?
Definitely.
We just want to go around the room real quick. Captain Hook, what do you think is his best performance? What's the go-to fight for you?
For me, the first Wilder fight, because at least he was really perfect in terms of skills, but at least he faced somebody who wasn't freeze like Klitschko. Against Klitschko, it's a great performance, but Klitschko wasn't there. He didn't wake up that night. Klitschko, he was freeze for 12 rounds. At least against Wilder try and maybe knock him out at the first fight. So yes,
okay,
the first fight.
But I am curious to see what Wilder's going to do, and I do honestly believe, regardless win or loss, I think this is going to be the best Wilder out of the three. And even if it's not enough, I still think that up until the fight ends or whatever the outcome is going to be, I think he's going to look his best in this time.
And
don't boxing wise. Sorry, you go, Captain.
Yeah, and don't forget also that Wilder can win can be the moral winner of the fight. Maybe he can lose, but imagine he go the distance. Imagine he show many new skills, a new attitude, a new strategy, a better Wilder. Even if he lose, in fact, he win the night. Because nobody believes that he can step up, he can bring something really new. Nobody really believes that. So if he shut the mouth of many Wilder haters, in fact, maybe he has another loss on the resume, but maybe he saved his career. Maybe he can save the career even if he lose.
C'est
I mean,
c'est possible.
Yes, Richard. And this is the reason why.
Okay, I'm sorry.
This is the reason because we spoke about how we will see the Wilder career in 10 years from now. So it's like we are a boxing writer, So in fact, Wilder. It's not a question just to put some knockout in his resume. Now he has to change something. And I really believe he has to change something. He has to change the character. If Wilder bring a new character to the audience, I believe that he will save his career and how we see him in the future, And because for some people who really don't believe in him, it's like the new Primo Carnera. it's still the new Primo Carnera, and he has to change that. And in a weird way, I believe that on October the 9th, he will change something.
Let me just bring up one point. Oh, I'm sorry. You done, or you still got more?
And I'm really done, guys. I have to go. So
okay.
I have to go. Richard, Dr. Love, Big O, and Kangaroo, thank you so much. And obviously, Paul, continue to bring the quality on YouTube, please. Thank you so much,
bro.
my friend.
And make sure you subscribe to the channel as well.
Au revoir,
Captain Hook.
Captain Hook.
Thanks. Bye-bye, guys.